logistics faster. We all logistics guys are very creative on how to make the things happen. We need to move vehicles, we need to move them really fast, we need to move components in order to avoid stop our plants or have some shutdowns. So what is our key driver in case of the vehicles that we're moving? Well, the key driver that we're utilizing is railroad, so our rail transportation is basically where we are having all our shipments. And if there's any issue with the rail, well, we will have several concerns, or we will have several increase of inventories, exactly what we had last year. So rail transportation is very important. Also, we need to check the port infrastructure. So we have our ports, we need to handle the volume. Most of the OEMs are utilizing Lázaro Cárdenas. Currently, we are utilizing Veracruz, but we need to have also good strength in case of the ports. We have also security concerns. In case of the security concerns that we are having, well, we have a lot of vandalism in some rail routes. We have also increased the robbery in case of the highways. With the support of all you guys, we have been supporting us and improving this part, but finally this is a country situation that we need to check how to do together. And we need to have fast processes. One of the key drivers that we will be focusing or that we are struggling with, and I think it's all the OEMs, it's purchasing processes. If we need to have new suppliers, we need to have one long period for uploading the supplier into our database, and then we can utilize the services. So based on that, we need to not only be creative as logistics guys, but we need to get support of our purchasing team in order to make everything fast. So, well, most of the other expositors already speak a little bit of this, so I will not go very slow on this part. So we have several issues. We have lack of microchips. We have wars. We have the COVID situation. So what happened with this? We have like the normal shipments that we're doing, like this pace. Then when we have lack of components, our shipments were reduced, but we still keep producing units by the time the components arrive. Then we have like a normal production. On top of that, we have like the additional units that we produce in advance, and we're just waiting for these components. So finally, the network, the rail network was total a mess, but mainly because of us as well. Because we stopped shipments and then we duplicated shipments. There were some manpower issues with the COVID, so it was a mess. And then finally, there are other items such as Ukrainian war, etc. But now we are getting more stable. Also, we have some issues with new participants on the Mexican network in case of new auto brands. Well, we need more equipment, and with this we will be improving those issues. So, what we have done in case of Honda in order to improve this part, or what we did last year, since there were not enough rail cars, we tried to utilize flatbeds, and most of the OEMs also utilize flatbeds. It's not like the fastest in case of total volume, because we move 4 vehicles in a flatbed, and we can move over 600 vehicles in a train, but we need to keep moving vehicles. Also, we changed our routing, that most of the OEMs also did. We increased our ports coverage. We were utilizing just Veracruz and having as backup Lázaro Cárdenas. Now we are utilizing Alameda, Veracruz, and we still keep as backup Lázaro Cárdenas. But, for example, in case of the flatbeds, we were a little bit slow in order to start this operation because of the purchasing process that was a little bit slow. So with this, I just want to say, finalizing this part, that we need to keep working with our internal purchasing departments in order that we can speed up all these purchasing processes, and we can keep moving the vehicles, we can keep moving parts, we can keep our strong business relationship that we have as OEMs with all of you guys. So this is all information I have for sharing. and this is what we're struggling, just a little portion of all the issues that we faced last year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's obviously great to set the scene. I'll take that from you. Very familiar issues, I'm sure, that many have faced. And maybe to talk through some of the things that Hector mentioned and how we can work together more as an industry, I'd like to bring on the rest of our panel. We'll also share a bit more information during the course of that, but I'd like to bring him on stage. For the first time at our events, the next speaker, he joined us 10 years ago. I worked in parts, tooling, and raw material logistics, as well as network design. Today he's responsible for finished vehicle operations across Mexico and for exports as well. The Nissan, very pleased that Carlos Urade is here with us today. Someone who is more familiar to our events, and I think we established that possibly every one that we've done, really. So that's a milestone. Joined Reliance Phillips in 2007, has worked across a number of locations, and has led the operations here in Mexico since 2014. Roberto, thanks very much for being back with us. Last but not least, bringing more than 2 decades of experience to the Mexican logistics market, began his career in aerospace and worked across a number of verticals, freight forwarding as well. Currently leads the automotive vertical at Maersk here in Mexico, focused on innovative solutions for car and battery logistics. Kazit Dal, thanks for joining us. Have a seat here. Maybe just I can start, Carlos, with you kind of jumping off the back of what Hector said. Clearly we've all lived through this to some extent, but can you give us a sense of Nissan, the kind of state of the nation, if you like, for your network, where you've had to adapt modes and sports, situation similar to Hector's, and how you set the scene for us today?
Thank you, Chris, to stay here. It's a pleasure for us to present the experience and some action that we take during this crisis. So, as Hector mentioned, we crossing for a really hard situation in terms of capacity for transportation, for finishing logistics. We needed to adopt a lot of different shipping ways in terms to have the sustainability of the business. And then we created a lot of new processes. We needed to accelerate internal processes to have approvals, to make a business case, and then in the operational feasibility in order to start as soon as possible and cover the market demand. So now we feel more comfortable because now we have some options in the market that we already developed. And then in case that we have another different crisis for the next few years, we have the options and we can adapt as soon as possible because we'll be necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll get into a little bit more some of the specific methods and changes you've made to adapt that. And maybe that leads nicely to you, Roberto, as also a partner of Nissan and others. Give us a sense of how you're facing in terms of having to accelerate the logistics here, some of the solutions and challenges you face. And I think if we can pull up a slide that we have and also put some context on the screen, so we'll get that slide up.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chris. So, first of all, I would say that I speak for most of us when I say it got better, right? Like a year ago, we're sitting here and basically we were in crisis mode. The network collapsed, and it was because of course, the pent-up demand combined with other things. But it got better. I think the network altogether we built resiliency to the network. And now more volume is going to the network than in 2023, so it got better because of the alternatives that we developed together with customers. Charlie was just mentioning, just one important change that we saw was a shift from a centralized network where two main ports handling 80% of the volume to a more decentralized network where now it's still significant, right? So Veracruz and NASA are still handling most of the volume, but there are two other ports now that emerge with more volume, Altamira and Mazatlan. So now it's more balanced. So that was a big change. And then of course the imports, right, which it's a big increase of imports, and then these ports, these other alternatives have absorbed the majority of this growth. And then if you can move to the next slide, so some of the things we did together with the customers to get out of the crisis mode and to go to a more stable situation was the deployment of some solutions like the short sea, the short sea services, the Mexico-US East Coast, so this is something that is tracked from the Atlantic dealers in the US. We have never moved more people between locations like we did last year, beginning of this one. Adding some flexibility from site to sites to address the peaks and the demand, and also adding velocity to this improved tracking of the vehicles, basically what I was saying before, from even before they are produced, and with help from customers, we know they're going to be bound to these dedicated services, this loop, and that way we can improve velocity.
And maybe just on that point, dedicated service is an interesting point. Carlos, this is something that I believe would probably know really fast on it. You've looked to implement in some cases of dedicated services.
We needed to implement some dedicated services during the last year. It was necessary because at the end we need to protecting the business and we needed to ship the vehicles. So before to take the decision to use these dedicated services, we needed to analyze a lot of things because at the end of the day, it's a business and we need to protect the cost. We need to accelerate the approval to make a business case and try to combine some flows in order to have the balance with a fixed capacity that we have with some partners, and then check in the middle and long term what is the volumes for the future, and try to have in the most of the time with a good efficiency that flows, with a good loading volumes. So it is a difficult decision, but at the end it's a good shipping way because we can have a secure capacity.
So we'll come into a bit more detail on the dedicated side and some of the strategic decisions to do that, including the panel. But Kazat, I wanted to turn to you because one of the alternatives that we've seen rise was cars and containers. That's not the only, but certainly we saw perhaps a niche to a bigger niche to not even a normal flow in some cases. So maybe you can set the scene for us a little bit and tell us how what role that has been playing you've seen across the network and your customers.
Sure. So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had a good lunch. So basically, with all the disruptions and the challenges that we have faced with the OEMs, we had to look for the alternatives. So we were looking at what could we think of, right? And these options were already there, but we started to think probably we should, instead of thinking outside the box, think inside the box, right? So that's how the container CIC came up. And what we do is an end-to-end solution for that. So you just have one provider who can give that service. So it was a value-added service to the customer at that time. So with the disruptions and the contingencies that were going on, you can see the flow right there. I'm not going to go in details with that, but it was an alternative solution to what others were offering, and that's how we were supposed to take some of the cars that the OEMs had. They had in 23 it was a mess. They had 40,000 cars at the plants, nobody moving, so then all the other options of the flatbed and everything else were there, right? Everything was on the table. So I think it's cars and container is a permanent solution. It's going to coexist because I see not just us, but many other suppliers investing in it. So I think it's going to be a more permanent thing where we have to coexist together.
So on that point, perhaps turning to the OEMs and to what extent, I think the humble turning to cars and containers, what role has it played, is it playing in your life?
Well, we keep moving with the trend that we're having. We utilize, as mentioned, the flatbeds, then we stop utilizing gas and start going back to the normal rail pace. We have been improving the communication with the rail companies. We have been also improving the follow-up with the vessel companies. communication is really needed. Maybe in the past we have once per week some communication with suppliers, but now we're focusing more on very tight communication to keep clear communication in case there's any disruption from the OEM side or from the supplier side to let us know or let everyone be on the same page and take countermeasure immediately. So I think that's what we also learned in the path that we're following forward.
Carlos, similar for you, how's the container playing a role, flatheads playing a role, again, just give a sense of how you approach it.
Well, some of these shipping ways will be taken like a normal shipping way. So some of them will be part of the contingency plan because again, it can generate an overcost in the shipping flows, and we need to be careful. We need to check that in order to not impact the business. But in case of the containers, I think there's a good solution. This solution helps us in the last year. We need to improve something. Maybe the break-sand containers to be easier for this business unit. Improve or increase the container fleet because it can be not enough to cover the parts shipments and the goods shipments. And then improve the cost to be more competitive. And if we achieve that factors, I think so can be considered like a normal shipping way in the future.
And perhaps, again, to the panel, are you seeing this mode more used in North America in a kind of short sea context, or actually more in a multimodal context? So, by rail, for example, have you seen that?
Yes. Yes, so the good thing with the container is it's flexible. So we have other alternatives, so it could be a short sea solution, it could be a rail solution, and it could also be a 53 feet truck where you take it cross border. So it gives you more options, more flexibility to move, right? So there are more alternatives to that.
So, well, we set the scene pretty well there in terms of alternative modes that have come on. We've heard about port network changes, the virtual nodes that we alluded to. Really picking up on the network side. With this expansion, using more ports, do you see gaps in some of the services, infrastructure, connections between these locations, and should there be areas of focus in the years ahead in Carlos?
In terms of ports, so we're basically very using the same because in the past we were using that. But we improved some consolidation centers in Mexico to try to take advantage of some points in Monterrey and Mexico City and try to use different kind of trucks and combine some import and export flows. Also, this one is a new shipping flow for Nissan, and now we are using that. So we are exploring to have more points where we can consolidate, we can move more vehicles by these ways.
Where you've expanded the port network, the missing connections and services, you see some gaps that can be addressed.
In case of ports, I think we are in a good shape. We were struggling maybe more than 1 year ago with the Veracruz because they were improving the facilities, etc. But now we're getting a really good service in Veracruz. All the services linked to that port have been improving. In case of Automotive that we're utilizing, even though it was kind of new operation, they were not used to handle large volume. They learn really fast and they have been improving day over day. So in case of ports, I think we are good. The only gap that I'm checking out, and I hope there is no CPKC members here. No, they are supporting we are still waiting to finalize the bypass installation for the CPKC portion. Despite that, this construction has not been finalized, and they have been keeping really good pace and really good support to us. That would be the only gap I see in the part.
That's a nostalgic issue for me, because I think we've done this event for 10 years, and I think we've talked about it as a problem with that one too. But all due respect to all involved.
No, I was just going to make the comment that since you guys started this conference, we talked about infrastructure and the bypass and what, and it will continue to be in the conversation. there's always going to be gaps, and we're still talking about the same ports. Even now there's more alternatives because the ports develop the capacity in the church, but still they're the same ports. There's no new ports in Mexico, right? And there's no new specialized automotive facilities other than the ones that already existed. So it's always going to be a gap there. And I think Francisco touched upon it earlier, the customs as well. And there are gaps there when it comes to infrastructure investment. So I was maybe coming there.
Yeah. Well, just after this discussion, actually, we have some pretty extensive look into some of the further changes and optimization. So we'll bring some updated information there as well. But Carlos, I'm going to come back on the dedicated service question as well, because I do think we see this in other areas of Mexico too, including some new players that come to the market. It's as you said, it can secure the business, but of course could also bring some risks and inefficiency on increasing empty loading on one side. How have you evaluated that? Are you looking at opportunities where you can work with others, for example, to maybe help address those imbalances where you're doing that?
Yeah, for sure. The dedicated capacity help us a lot, as we mentioned before. So, and if you look only the logistic operation, maybe create an impact, but if you see the full picture, you can guarantee the business competitiveness in the market. We need to improve. So, the first time that we exploring that options, we include all the rules, the regions that we have in order to try to keep with the good performance these dedicated capacity flows. And then now we are having a good performance on there, but we are exploring more because the challenge for this year and maybe next year needs to increase the competitiveness of that flow and try to have a less cost and to have the same cost in the traditional way and the dedicated flow. And with that, you can have the secure capacity, but you have the good cost from that flow.
Hector, is a dedicated flow something you can also explore?
We have explored we need to dig deeper, honestly speaking, having the dedicated capacity. We secure the volume, as Carlos mentioned, but we also have fixed cost. So in case there are any issue that we could not ship by any given reason, we will still be paying this fixed cost, but we will not be able to move the units. And then when we need to move the units, similar to last year, that there were some peaks, if we go to the peak, we will secure capacity for this level, but maybe we will need on some specific periods this level, but we already pay the cost for all the previous months. So we need to balance, exactly as Carlos mentioned, we need to check how to secure capacity, but also to be dynamic, in order that if there's any issue, we have a win-win situation with the suppliers, that we do not impact them, but if we need to reduce the volume, to be flexible on that part, then if we need to maybe increase for a huge peak, have this capacity, but with the dedicated, if we go fully to dedicated service, maybe for the peaks it will be not so efficient.
Right. So maybe from the providers, just to get a sense of how, maybe how you address those issues in terms of flexibility, so that, as you say, we don't raise the fixed costs so much that it becomes inefficient, but at the same time respond very flexibly. So,
well, I think, dedicated doesn't necessarily mean you're putting all your eggs in one basket, right? It means you're balancing, so a portion of your volume is going to be dedicated, you still have another portion, a bigger share that is not. So that way you secure capacity for a good chunk of the business, for your volume, just to have it there. A good friend of mine who's in the audience used to say capacity is king. So you want to secure that capacity, at least it's going to help you not to lose it after, right? And then you have a balance. So that's what I would say.
do you see, for example, the way you work with customers as a way to manage those peaks and troughs, or are you also, setting up similar type services with your customers that address that flexibility?
Yes, definitely. As like everybody mentioned there, we had to be flexible. So obviously with the containers, with the roads, everything. Infrastructure and investment is very important. So we have where we can invest, we do invest. Where we have our strategic partners, we work with them. So it was basically giving them all the options that were put on the table. So yeah, I mean, for example, I would say not on the port side, but on the airports. Like for example, when Mexico City had a new airport and everybody was disrupted with that. So we were there, right? So yeah, Maersk also has planes, not just ships. So everybody knows. But yes, we coming into an NLU and doing stuff for the customers. So that's how we, with the investment and the infrastructure, we're very customer centric. So we look at the needs and we invest, or we have strategic partners.
Hector raised some of the, let's say, the internal challenges, right? Being able to adapt purchasing and controlling some of the solutions that we've had to pursue in the market. Carlos, any reflections from your side, and clearly Hector on that, of other ways that this time you've been able to streamline some of the decision making, if you like, or including together with other departments?
We have a very close communication in order to give the visibility of what will be the next challenges during the year with all the partners, to be ready to increase the capacity, because sometimes, I think so, everyone here knows about logistics. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. We need to have the skill in order to have the vision, but external or internal factors will affect the operation. Sometimes it's difficult, but we need to work very close in order to, if we will launch a new project, we need to consider all the areas internally and externally, and then to be prepared for that. So we work with our WWS guys, they give us a lot of support to launch all these new activities. So, but we needed to have a very close communication, what the market is demanding, what we want to do, and then to be prepared for that. Some make commercial, special agreements with them, to be ready for that. So I think so. The flexibility is the key, because when you have good flexibility in your process, you can adapt really fast. But the other part is the communication with all parties involved, all key stakeholders.
Hector, what have been some of the ways that you managed to speed this up? What do you see opportunities here? We spoke, for example, about how you coordinate more with the Honda and the US to sort of make some of those decisions move through faster. Any other areas where you see scope to do that?
I think that we need to keep working and setting in the same page, for example, which is important. And we need to find how to start new solutions when it's needed, not because maybe we have some plans for the future, we can start developing with some time, but if there's an emergency similar to last year, maybe we need to check first with our current suppliers if they can offer different solutions. With that, we will speed up the purchasing process, because finally what we were struggling is new suppliers, not core suppliers. If not, we will need to improve the utilization of new suppliers as spot movements, but finally giving a complete picture to purchasing and to management of the final impact that we'll have in case that we do not utilize this kind of new services. So we need to keep working as North America group in order to face these challenges. But finally, we will need also to set all the related departments in the same page, that they are aware of the difficulties that we're facing, not just that there is an issue, but that they fully grasp this part. It will be we're working on order to improve this part.
As providers, and offering sometimes very flexible solutions, is there data information you can kind of provide in a faster way? You kind of thought about, not that you can direct control the way the purchasing process would that you could, right? But ways that you can help them in that way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we need to work with the customer because we definitely need the transparency. We need to know their forecast, which is very important, and that's how we can put a contingency plan as an alternative before the disruptions happen. So it's more about the transparency and how we work together, looking for their needs. It's more on the value engineering that we do with the customers that make us get to some different solutions which is not there in the market, or try to invest in some and do something else, right?
If there's any questions, comments from the audience, we will glad to take them. So just put up your hand, and we'll make sure that we get a mic to you. You can ask the question in English or Spanish. But one thing I wanted to also raise to the OEMs in the first instance, when we talk about the expansion of the network, introducing new transport modes, equipment, and providers, has it required a different kind of focus on quality or a more extensive focus on quality to make sure that you maintain the standards that are expected? This may also play into the need to go faster, right? But generally, has that been a topic, something you had to go in terms of making sure that quality levels, damages, etc., didn't decline, even though we use all this different equipment and different providers?
We were afraid that they will start declining, for example, with the flatbeds. Finally, there is no protection.
Yeah.
So we can have some chipstones hitting the cars, etc. But it was good that finally we can contain all quality issues. If there's any issue, we'll manage to fix it before even the units make it to the dealer. And of course, when the unit with these quality issues will never meet the final customer. So we will contain it, but we were concerned of potential issues, and finally, lucky for us and maybe lucky for all OEMs, this was just something that might happen, but finally it didn't happen. So it was good on that part, and with the other kind of transportation that we're utilizing, in case of deviating to the ports, basically same transportation, just different destinations, so we keep with the same trend. So it didn't get worse, just keep the same trend.
How is that? Is similar, or have you talked about expanding the lives?
It's a very good question because when you have a change in the process, you have risk to have more damage. In case, at the same time that we started to running the business case, commercial agreements, and operational facility, we needed to evaluate in terms of quality, what do we need to do in order to guarantee the origin quality of the product. We deploy a strong strategy based on that through audits in the process, sending trials, and doing some special devices for these special transportation measuring KPIs, something like that. We can guarantee that the quality of release of the vehicle is delivered at the final customer. If we generate damage at the end, we can deliver the vehicle to the customer. So for the reason, we needed to move faster in that way in order to deploy all the strategy before to start the real operation.
Well, it would be the ultimate contradiction, right? It accelerates supply chain with new solutions only to slow down because you end up with more damage. So for sure, it's an important focus. Although good to hear that you have a face where you maybe feel good.
Yes.
Roberto, one of the issues you mentioned, you talked about being flexible and going faster. You pointed to the labor issue, and of course, in Mexico, we've had some changes in labor laws as well that sort of made temporary labor more complex. So can you talk to us about how you're managing that, or have managed that, and best practices?
Yeah, so there was a time in Mexico when I joined this company many years ago where labor, people that are on the production side, you could flex your labor based on the volume, right? So volume went up, you would be able to quickly add more people, volume went down, you quickly adjust. It's not the case anymore. For us, the people that our colleagues on the production side, for us it's a fixed cost, right? And we work every day to keep them, to retain them. reduce turnover, so we are able to keep working and address those peaks that we have with us. Also, yeah, there's like never before. There's been a lot of pressure on the labor side. Steep adjustments to minimum wage, which is, I think, it's a good thing. It's just pressure on us, on the whole chain, on the OEMs as well. The union activity on the rise. I mean, you guys have companies in the US. I assume you've discussed that in length as well. And also other changes, especially in these administrations that put pressure on the employee side of things. With all our efforts on retaining our people and reducing turnover.
So important issues we certainly need to consider important working with your customers as well, that they understand some of those drivers of cost and labor. Of course, one solution on this one approach could be through enhanced systems, visibility, predictive things, for example. Carlos has that been focus for your vehicle logistics in terms of better visibility, tracking, digital solutions. Makes any sense?
For the digital solution, I think the digitalization of the process helped us a lot during last year, because if we have a system that can take a new operation, you can be faster in the real operation. But in some of the systems that we have, we needed to invest a lot of time to develop and try to adopt the new operation. You know, sometimes it's not difficult to have the communication between the systems, but it's a good potential. Now we have a good communication between them, and the systems are ready to adapt a new process.
As Maersk, obviously, as a company with a lot of data, I can imagine in global shipping, also as you mentioned, air freight, are there systems or there tools you're using to leverage that and help your customers feed into their systems, or even down to vehicle logistics flows and costs too?
Yeah. So we invest a lot on digitalization. We have a lot of platforms, and we are already working on with new AI-based systems where we can measure the weather, the optimization of terminals and everything. So with this we can give the customer better data to analyze what we are going to do in the future. We also have partners like Altana who have the data analytic with us, so we can give the customer the complete view of what's going to happen in the future. So that's going to help a lot. The system is still beta mode, so it should be next year. But yeah, those are the things that we are investing in to get better data for the customer to decide and make it faster.
Yeah, we just have a few minutes left, and we'll keep the time so that we can get you to the dinner tonight as well. But one topic, maybe Roberto, I'll turn to you on this. When we talk about going fast in the supply chain, I mean, perhaps there are companies that are set new benchmark costs, and there's new players that are coming in, pretty aggressive import strategies, taking direct control sometimes of their supply chains. Is this something the industry can learn more from, do you think? Needs to engage more? Is your company engaging more to serve these new players in different ways? Because they're bringing new approaches, if you like.
Yeah. So maybe not so new, but new approaches. You could say like satellite yards,
Yeah.
or different ways of handling the flows. But I think there is still a big opportunity out there that has to do with coordination from different suppliers, companies, or OEMs to take advantage of the capacity that is not utilized. Like I know it's a taboo, it's been discussed many years, but things like co-loading or using better or together distribution networks still really not being used. I think there is a big opportunity there, and I think as suppliers we should also take the lead there in trying to manage and coordinate those efforts
Yeah, for sure, and especially as Carlos mentioned, you need to secure the business kind of first and foremost. So understandably, that's the priority. So opportunities for other providers to show that they can do that, but still be efficient. Let's do a last round. We'll do a quick, kind of quick fire 2030 vision for faster vehicle logistics in Mexico. Maybe like a 1-2 sentence kind of answer. So because it'll be super easy to do, I'm sure. But let's conclude that way. So we'll start with you.
Sure. So I think in the morning, Jamie Powell mentioned understand your consumer. So I think everything starts with that. They are in the business of their consumer and we are in their business, so we have to work together, understand the needs, and get to these solutions. We need that transparency, we need that workshops where we are working together, where we come up with different solutions, alternatives, and that's the only way to go, right, for the future. So I think that should be the most important for reaching our 2030 goals.
I think what I would say is, in one word, uncertainty. Right, that's really what's coming. Volatility, uncertainty. But I think that together as a group, we've managed to be able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right, and that's just the way it's going to stay. But I think that we've built a more resilient supply chain, and there's still. It was mentioned earlier as well that there's a lot of capacity there, yet plants can still produce a minimum of vehicles, and I think consumers in Mexico can still buy 1 million more. So that's going to come if we make sure to stay resilient.
I like the motto as well: certain in our uncertainty, comfortable in our uncomfortableness. So that says it well too.
Yeah, the capacity looks very well for this year. For next year looks like this one. We have a lot of market stabilization now, and all the investment that the carriers is doing help us to have range availability, trucks availability now. But the lesson learned is that we need to be prepared, because maybe the next year we will have another disruption for some factor, and then we need to be ready. We need to have the options on the table. We need to have the standardization of that options to start as soon as possible. And if I can put in 2 words or experiences that to be competitiveness, flexibility, competitiveness, because when we launch a lot of projects, the cost can be higher than the traditional ones. But now if we can work to have the same cost, so it can be a competitiveness options, and then the flexibility, because every day we need to be faster. We need to put the vehicles with the customers, and we can be faster taking decisions. We can be faster in the adoption of the new operation. We can deliver this vehicle on time. So that is the most important part.
Last word. Thank you very much. Last word to you.
Okay, I think that we need to keep the pace of our final customers. We need to keep on their needs that they request, how they need it, and we need to keep moving really fast with the logistics supply chain. Last year it was move the units, do whatever you need to do, but move the units. This year I think it's get everything stable. Next year maybe, okay, you already have everything stable, now check what you can improve. So next year I foresee that it will be improving year, because as Carlos mentioned, the rail supply that impacts us a lot is getting stable and it's increasing. So now we will need to check how to improve this portion. I'm really looking forward to check how the AI starts improving these parts. I know that currently we're in diapers in those portions. We're still learning about that, and we will need to have new tools in order to explore this new technology. But I'm really looking forward that with AI, improving points, etc., we can keep the pace with the final needs of the customers, because finally that's our target, to meet the customer's necessities. So keep improving the next couple of years now that we're stable.
Excellent. So some positive notes to end there. Looking to a future with more AI, more uncertainty, but things we can manage together, and certainly collaboration along the way. Thank you very much, all of you, for participating in this. The next session, as mentioned, is going to be focusing more on ports, but just a reminder, we're going to have a lot more to talk about finished vehicle logistics next year. As everyone will be an interesting year. Those of you who want to dig deep with us,